I haven't even flipped it over yet. Look at this buck. I'm gonna pull him out.
Hello, welcome back to East Coast Bucks. I have show number 4 coming up for you. This is part 2 of the 2-part segment on hunting early season over corn or other attractants over in Maryland. And I live in Virginia, and I'm actually out here doing a little practicing, get ready to go out this evening, get a few shots in. I'd like to shoot a couple times, especially in the evenings. If I'm going to slip out in the evening after work, I like to at least, even if it's only a handful of shots, keeps you sharp, and it's good to keep that muscle memory, especially if you shoot fingers like I do. So anyways, let's pick it up and talk a little bit more about where we left off last episode, about when should you use the corn, and I had mentioned before about early season and late season, and that's basically the 2 main times and mostly the only times I use it. Occasionally I'll throw a little bit out. And now remember, this is always Maryland because it's not legal in Virginia. I'll put out a little bit during the rut if it's in an area where I think there might be some does passing through and I can get them to hang around a little bit. And, I want to pull a big buck that's maybe cruising on the outskirts of an area. You might have saw in that video from last year, the hole in 8 buck, that's exactly what I'm talking about when I say rut usage of corn. As you saw, there wasn't very much out at all. It was only enough to turn one if he saw a doe over in that corner of that field, get him to come in there and present a shot. And as you saw, it worked like a charm. And it can work during the rut under those situations. But most of the time, I don't use it during the rut, and the reason being is this. I like to hunt travel corridors when them bucks are really cruising like they're getting ready to do. This is October 18th right now. We're coming up on my favorite time of the year to hunt. Probably everybody else is out there too. I enjoy all hunting, but this is really, I enjoy this just a little bit more. And so I like to hunt scrape lines and areas where they're going to come through and check for does and things of that nature. So enough about that. Let's move on to some of the scenes, and let me set up where this set is set up at. As you'll hear, this is close to a road. The reason it's close to a road, this is some of the things I wanted to talk about. The reason it's close to the road, this is one of my little tricks. Like I say, these aren't, I'm not telling anybody what to do or, that I know the best way to do it. But these are things that have worked for me in the past and over the years. So here's what I like to do. In this particular situation in the video you're watching now, I wanted this set as close to that road as I could get. The reason why, there's a method to my madness. I didn't want those bucks to be able to get behind me in the road to wind check me. I knew that wind, the only wind I could get in this little piece of property, it's a small patch of woods I'm hunting here. I've only got permission on 10 acres. Now, it's only the whole piece of property in this particular section until you cross the road. It's probably 150 acres. But I wanted to keep them in that one corner that I had permission on. And that's a good point for, a good little tip to show you if you only got permission on small patches. This is where that corn can really be your friend. You're able to pull those deer, especially if nobody else, on the property is hunting. You're able to pull those deer into a piece of property where you have permission. So I didn't want those bucks to skirt me on the backside to get between me and the road. I had it out in front of me with the road at my back. Behind that is a real big thicket. So I'm hoping to pull them out of that thicket, and which is most of the rest of the woods. This particular section is, I only got a little bit of thick patch in there, And so I really need to kind of pull them as close to that road as I can get them. And as you'll see coming up, that's exactly what happens, and I'll get back to you here in a minute. We'll make a couple shots. Okay, welcome back. Still trying to get a couple shots in here before I head out of here in an hour. But anyway, so as I showed you, that was the nice 8-point with a split G2, and he came in there and came in real close, and he did exactly what I wanted to prevent. Luckily, he didn't wind me. He got spooked, but it wasn't because he winded me. He had already circled around me, like I was telling you in the last segment, that I didn't want him to do. He went all the way up on that highway. Now, this is a major highway. This ain't no little farm road. This, as you hear, it's loud. Them deer, these deer in this area, they could care less about that. Even out in the West, I know guys that, you know, you've probably seen on videos. These deer are not scared to get tucked up close to a road. So he went in there, got behind me, but he wasn't able to wind me. Mind you, this is late September, so we can get away with a little more than you'll be able to later in the year. He comes out there, and you can't see on the camera because I had to spin it all the way around the tree. On the back side of that tree, he's standing there 5 yards, trying to wind me. He doesn't wind me, as you see where I picked it up. Now, I could have shot him right there off camera, easily. He comes on by. I want to capture as much footage of him as I can before he comes on out there in the open corn set, and I can get a kill shot on him. So, you know, that's what we're trying to do when we're trying to video these hunts. We're trying to put on a show for you guys. It's not always about, you know, you can turn the camera on and 5 seconds later shoot the deer. Yeah, it's great you got the deer, but, you know, it's not very entertaining. I'm trying to make this as entertaining as possible. That's the whole reason I do it. You know, I've been fortunate enough to take quite a few over the years. And for me now, I get a bigger kick out of actually getting them on video. And if I get to kill them on video, that's great, but it's not always about killing them. I like to just get that buck, as in the footage you just saw, coming right by the tree. Beautiful buck, beautiful representation of a Maryland early season chocolate rack buck. And the doe spooked, which spooked him. He didn't wind me though, so I still got my hopes up that I can kill that deer. So let's pick it up 2 evenings later. And oh, before we do that, let me set up the scene. So the scene that I'm getting ready to show you, the year before I seen this buck that I'm getting ready to show you, called the G2 buck. He got the name G2 buck because he broke his G2 off, and the clip I'm getting ready to show you, you'll see why. And this is on the same spot. This is the January of 2018, which is the season before this past season, and you'll see that same buck. And then I'll show you the kill segment coming up following that, and I'll get back to you after that.
September 28th, Southern Maryland. About 90 degrees, horrible conditions, but I've killed some big ones on these nights like this. The nights when nobody else is in the woods, you think they wouldn't move, and sometimes I've had the best luck on those kind of nights, so can't kill them at home on the couch. It's only the third time I've been able to get out all year, so we're going to see what happens. I got a big acorner coming in here. There's actually 3 of them coming in here, but one's been in here just last night. So we'll get ready to get quiet. We're going to see what happens. I'll be back to you guys hopefully later on tonight with a big old wide acorner. Early season, Southern Maryland, trying to make something happen. Well, there he is. I know the shot didn't look that great on film, but this deer didn't go 75 yards. I don't know if you can see right there, the arrow sticking out. I'll get it a little better here in a second. But anyways, I'm down in this dark hole. Waited till dark. Well, here he is next morning. Got a lot of pictures of this buck. He only went 75 yards. I knew from that shot it didn't look real pretty. Clipped a little, actually just a little piece of a leaf, and just made it veer off just a touch, not much. But that's all it takes. But luckily it didn't really knock it down, and hit him right in that hip area. Every deer I've ever hit in that area has never went more than 75 yards, believe it or not. I know it looks horrible, but the deer, when they get hit there, for some reason it puts them right down. As you can tell, he was ready to go down on camera. So, you know, like I say, it's not pretty. I would have liked to had it a little more forward, but I'll take the results any day. If it's going to put them down to 75 yards and they don't suffer, he never even twitched when he went down. I could barely see him go down just over the hill. So here he is. I'm gonna get out of here. It's hot. I got to get to work. Had a long day yesterday to get back home to Virginia till 12:30 last night. Got to do it again today. Get him to the butcher shop and get back to work. I'll get back with you when I have more time to talk, and we'll recap this hunt. 2019 Southern Maryland, first one of the year.
Okay, welcome back. I'm gonna knock another arrow here real quick, and then I'll tell you what you just saw. So as I'm sure a lot of you thought when you saw that shot, you were a little bit shocked. So was I. Trust me. Nobody expects to make a shot like that. But here's the whole reason I'm showing it to you, and that's the reason I'm talking about it now. You will have a shot like that. I'm sure I know there's, you know, the keyboard warriors out there that say, oh my God, I've never hit one like that. I've never hit one like that. How many deer you shot, bud? Oh, I've shot 5, and every one of them was... When you talk to somebody that's shot well over 100 some deer, you're going to have shots like that. It's going to happen. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the best shot in the world. You're going to hit a twig. You're going to hit a leaf. Something like that's going to happen. Here's the thing I wanted to convey. When that happens, don't freak out. And the reason I'm telling you this, sure, a lot of guys thought that deer, he's going to survive. That's a bad shot. That deer died in 75 yards. I've hit roughly, out of 100 plus deer, I've hit probably 10 in that area. Now do the math on that. You know, that's not a lot of deer out of 100 plus animals. But out of those 10, every single one of them that I've hit in that area, and I'm talking about from here to the hip, all the way back into the hindquarter, every one that I've hit squarely there, I've recovered fairly quickly. A couple of them went further than than I thought they would. The first one I ever hit there, I freaked out. I was so sick that I didn't even want to look very hard for the deer because I found a few spots of blood. I'm like, that deer, there's no way that killed that deer. I'm just giving you this advice because I've seen it happen. I've seen buddies do the same thing. I've seen it happen multiple times. That is a deadly shot in that area. Now, I'm not talking up, towards in the top of the actual spine, but if you hit them in that hip area between the hip and the guts, or even square in the hindquarter, it puts them down. I'm not telling anybody to make that shot or to do it on purpose. The only reason I'm even, suggesting this is that you're going to hit some there that you didn't mean to hit there. It happens. You're going to hit them everywhere you didn't mean to hit them. That's just part of bow hunting. It happens in gun hunting. So all the naysayers out there that, oh, that's terrible, you shouldn't show that kind of stuff. We got to be real. I want to show things that really happen in the woods, how they happen, and what you saw is exactly what happened. As you saw in that one clip, you flashed to me, I wasn't sure about it, but I knew deep down that deer's going to die. That's a killing shot. Here's the same arrow I said, now this is a practice point. That arrow went through, it looked like a lot of it sticking out. There was that much of that arrow sticking out the other side of that buck. You couldn't see it good because it was dark when I walked up on him that evening. And I'm shooting a swacker. That swacker went in there, deflected off to right in front of the hip, came out that much on the other side. Arrow was still in him like that. It was broke on the opposite side, the fletching side. That deer went tops 75 yards. I saw him go down over that steep hill. You couldn't see it on video because it drops off into a big gully. When I saw him go down, I said, I bet you that deer's dead right there, but I don't hear anything. Now, mind you, you hear the loud road. I'm close to the road. When I walked over there, you know, I was happy, you know, because it, you know, I thought I made a horrible shot, but like I said, deep down I knew he would probably die. I was happy that I didn't have to track him all night, but I was kind of shocked that he only went 75 yards. So anyways, long story short is don't freak out if you have a bad shot. You know, maybe call somebody or get some advice from somebody that knows, you know, had a little bit of experience with it. And the only reason I'm talking about it and told you all those horror stories is I've been there. It's happened to me a lot of times. Been bow hunting a long, long time. And if you bow hunt or just hunt in general, even gun hunting for a long time, some things are going to go wrong. That was just a little teeny leaf. I don't know if you can see this tree right here. A little twig that was holding that leaf. Remember, that camera angle and the shot angle, for me, when I'm self-filming, on that particular one was about that far apart. So it's shooting from this way. I'm shooting from this way. You'll see that little bit of leaf above it shake a little bit. I'm looking at the camera. I'm looking at the deer. I'm looking at my sight. Sometimes you miss those little teeny twigs, especially early season. Mind you, this is the end of September. So that's what can happen. Don't freak out if it happens. You know, stay with it. Do everything you can to recover that deer, even if you think it's... I know some people that would have not even looked very hard for that deer. Now, you only went 75 yards, so it'd been pretty easy to find for anybody. But just keep that in mind the next time you have a horrible shot that you think is just, you know, not going to kill them, and you're just embarrassed about it or whatever the case may be. Don't be embarrassed. It happens. It's going to happen, and it doesn't mean that you won't be able to get that deer. So good luck to everybody. We're going to jump over to the rut time episodes coming up here. Enough about early season in Maryland. We're getting into the fun stuff. Actually, my favorite time of year, pre-rut, which I've killed my biggest bucks by far during this time of year. And we'll pick up the action next week, and I'll see you then.